Welcome back to the English Daily Podcast. Today we are talking about airport English and travel delays. This is a very useful topic because many English learners travel for work, study, or vacation, and airports can feel stressful even in your own language. If you know the right words and phrases, you can feel calmer, ask for help, and solve problems faster.
That is so true. Airports are full of signs, announcements, forms, and short conversations. People often speak quickly, so it helps to know the most common vocabulary. Let's start with a simple word, delay. A delay means something happens later than planned. If your flight is delayed, it leaves later than the schedule says. Another important word is gate. The gate is the place where you wait before boarding the airplane.
Exactly. And boarding means getting on the plane. You may also hear check-in, which means you show your ticket and passport and receive your boarding pass. A boarding pass is the document that tells you your seat number and gate. A lot of travelers confuse gate and terminal. A terminal is a bigger building or section of the airport, while the gate is the exact place where the plane departure happens. That difference is useful because if someone says, "Your gate changed," you should look for a new boarding area, not a new building.
Good point. Let's imagine a common situation. You arrive at the airport and hear that your flight is delayed by 2 hours. What can you say? You might ask, "Excuse me, could you tell me why the flight is delayed?" That is polite and clear. If the airport staff give you information, listen for words like weather, technical issue, crew, or traffic. Weather means conditions like rain, snow, or wind. A technical issue is a problem with the plane or system. Crew means the people working on the plane.
And if you need to change your plans, you can use useful phrases like, "Is there another flight available?" or "Can I be rebooked on a later flight?" Rebooked means given a new flight or new reservation. Another helpful word is connection. A connection is a second flight that you take after your first one. If your first flight is delayed, you might miss your connection. That can be stressful, but English is easier when you know how to explain the problem.
Let's practice some practical airport English. If you miss your connection, you can say, "I missed my connecting flight because my first flight was delayed." What are my options? Options means choices. You might also ask, "Can you help me find the next available flight?" Or, "Will the airline provide a hotel?" Hotel is useful because some airlines offer accommodation if the delay is very long. Accommodation is a slightly more formal word for a place to stay.
That word accommodation is great vocabulary for learners. Here is another useful phrase, on time. If a flight leaves on time, it leaves at the planned hour. The opposite is delayed. Some airports use the phrase estimated departure time. Estimated means not exact, but likely. So if the screen says an estimated departure time of 4:30, that is the best current guess. In real life, travel plans change, so words like estimated, scheduled, and actual are very important. Scheduled means planned, and actual means what really happens.
I like that. Maybe we should talk about airport announcements too, because they can be hard to understand. You might hear, "Final call for flight 218. Final call means the last announcement before boarding closes. You might also hear, "The gate is now closed." That means you cannot board anymore. Another common announcement is, "Passengers with carry-on luggage may board now." Carry-on luggage is the bag you take into the plane with you. The opposite is checked luggage, which goes into the plane's storage area.
Yes, and if you have a problem with your bags, you can say, "My luggage hasn't arrived," or "My suitcase is damaged." Luggage is a general word for bags, and suitcase is one specific type. Damaged means broken or harmed. If your bag is lost, the airline may ask you to fill out a report. Fill out means complete a form with information. That is a very common phrase in everyday English. You fill out forms at airports, banks, schools, and hospitals.
Now let's think about communication style. In airports, it is best to be polite, short, and clear. For example, instead of saying, "This is terrible and I'm angry," you can say, "I'm sorry, but I need some help with my flight." Polite words like please, excuse me, and thank you are always valuable. Valuable means useful and important. If you stay calm and respectful, staff can help you faster. That is a practical tip not only for airports but for all difficult conversations.
Absolutely. Calm communication is a life skill. Another tip is to use simple sentences. If your English is not perfect, that is okay. You do not need long, complicated sentences. You can say, my flight is delayed. I need a new boarding pass. Where is gate B12? How long is the delay? Short sentences are strong sentences. Many learners worry about grammar, but in an airport, clarity is often more important than perfect grammar.
That's a great reminder. Let's add some vocabulary for time. A delay can be short, medium, or long. If something is immediate, it happens right now. If it is soon, it will happen in a short time. You may also hear, in 20 minutes, at 6:15, or, by 7 p.m. These prepositions matter. In is used with a period of time, at is used with a specific time, and by means no later than that time. For example, boarding starts at 6:15 and we need to arrive by 6 o'clock.
That explanation is very useful for learners. Let's also talk about asking for repetition. Airports can be noisy, so you may not hear everything. You can say, could you repeat that, please? Or, could you speak more slowly? Or, sorry, I didn't catch that. Catch that means understand or hear that. This phrase is natural and polite. If you only remember one phrase from today, I hope it is, could you speak more slowly? Because it works in many situations.
Another good phrase is, could you write that down? Write that down means put the information on paper or in text. If someone tells you the gate changed or the flight time changed, ask them to write it down or show it on the screen. It is smart to check both the airport monitor and the airline app. Monitor means screen, and app means application on your phone. In modern travel, technology is your friend, but it can also be confusing, so double-checking helps.
We should also talk about emotions, because travel delays can make people frustrated. Frustrated means annoyed because something is difficult or does not happen as expected. You might also feel confused, tired, or nervous. If you want to describe your feelings in English, you can say, I'm a little stressed because my flight is delayed, or I'm worried about missing my hotel check-in. Check-in here means the time when a hotel expects you to arrive and get your room. That is another helpful phrase for travel.
Yes, and if you want to sound more natural, you can use softeners. A softener makes your request less direct and more polite. For example, instead of, give me information, say, could you please give me some information? Instead of, I need help, say, I was wondering if you could help me. I was wondering is a very friendly phrase. It sounds thoughtful and respectful. These small language choices can make a big difference.
Let's practice with a mini dialogue inside our conversation. Imagine you go to the service desk. You might say, excuse me, I was wondering if you could help me. My flight to London is delayed, and I think I may miss my connection. Then the staff member might ask for your booking reference or passport. Booking reference means the code for your reservation. If you hear a word you don't know, try to remember the context. Context means the situation around the word, and it helps you guess meaning.
That is an excellent language strategy. Context is one of the best tools for learners. You do not always need to understand every single word. Look at the surrounding words, the speaker's tone, and the situation. For example, if someone says, your gate has changed from A7 to C12, you can understand that you need to move. If someone says, the delay is due to weather, you know the cause is the weather. Cause is the reason something happens.
I also want to share a tip about listening. In airports, numbers are very important, especially flight numbers, gate numbers, and times. Numbers can be hard to catch when you are tired. Practice listening carefully to numbers in English, like 13 and 30, 14 and 40, or 6 and 60. Those sound similar, so focus on the ending sound. You can ask, is that 13 or 30? That is a very practical question if you are not sure.
Great advice. Another useful word is itinerary. An itinerary is your travel plan, including flights, hotels, and activities. If your flight changes, your itinerary may change too. You can also say, I need to update my itinerary. Update means change to the latest version. Travel English is full of verbs like change, update, reschedule, and confirm. Confirm means say yes or make something definite. For example, can you confirm my new departure time?
Before we finish, let's review the key vocabulary from today. Delay means later than planned. Gate is the boarding area. Terminal is the larger airport building. Boarding means getting on the plane. Rebooked means given a new flight. Connection means your next flight. Carry-on luggage is the bag you keep with you. Check out or fill out a form means complete the necessary information. And polite phrases like could you help me and could you speak more slowly are incredibly useful.
And here are the big communication tips. First, stay calm. Second, use short and clear sentences. Third, ask for repetition if you do not understand. Fourth, pay attention to numbers, times, and gate changes. Fifth, remember that being polite helps everyone. Travel can be stressful, but simple English can make it much easier. The more you practice these phrases, the more confident you will feel at the airport and in other real-life situations.
That's our episode on airport English and travel delays. We talked about useful words, practical phrases, and smart ways to ask for help when travel plans change. If you remember the vocabulary and tips from today, you will be much better prepared for your next trip.
Thanks for listening to the English Daily Podcast. If this episode helped you, subscribe for more clear, useful English practice every day. We'll see you next time, and until then, keep learning, keep listening, and keep speaking English with confidence.